Hi, this is PM Holt with Inside B&B, and today I'm going to be speaking with Kati Greene. And Kati is part of the dynamic duo of Brian and Kati Greene, and they are owners of Overlooked to Overbooked. And I'm excited to talk to them because they've done a lot of work in our industry, and they're going to help us today with some tips on how to get great photos for our listings using just a smartphone. So this is really going to be helpful because during the whole pandemic scenario, and maybe even still now, the major platforms weren't sending out photographers to help us out in any way. So, and even if that does happen again, and even maybe it's still happening in your area, it's good to be able to know how to take your own photos because you need to update your photos as you update and upgrade your unit. So you want to be able to take great photos by yourself using the equipment that you already have. So let's bring on Kati, and I know that Brian's going to be out there watching us. I'm sorry we couldn't get him on as well. Maybe we'll do that again sometime soon. But in the meantime, let's find Kati. Let's see. Hi. I'm going to bring her on now, and she's going to take us through some of the hi, some of the information they share with their students. They help people all over the world with their photos, and they do a great job. So I wanted everybody to hear from them specifically about how to get the good photos without having to have a professional come in. Not that it's a bad thing to have a professional, because if you're going to spend money anywhere in your listing, professional photos are a good place to make that investment. But if you don't have to, or if you're not able to, it's good to be able to know how to do them yourself. And that goes for new pieces that you might have, or seasonal changes that you might want to represent. You need to have the skills to be able to put up good photos in case you need to. So she's trying to join us. Let's see if she's going to make it. Oh, she was not able to join. Let me try to reconnect us again. She's calling in from Finland, so we've got to rely on her Wi-Fi and my Wi-Fi, and there she is.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Hi.
My headphones jumped onto my laptop when I tried to
Oh,
connect again, so I
yeah, that happens.
had
Everything
to.
happens on Instagram
Yep,
Live. Everything happens.
exactly. Now
So
I'm
don't worry
prepared.
about it. It's nice to meet
Cool.
you.
You too.
Thanks for joining. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you're in Finland?
Yes, I am in Finland right now. Luckily, I'm not in a completely dark room, although it is dark outside, but yeah, I'm in Finland.
Is it? Okay, okay. What's the time difference?
It is 7 p.m. here.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
significant. Okay, all
Yep.
right, well. Okay,
Yep.
well, thank you for joining us so far
Yeah, of
away.
course.
And I just gave a little intro about what you and Brian do, but why don't you tell us what you do and how you got started,
Hmm.
and then we can go into some of the tips that you have for guests and the hosts.
Sure. Yeah. So in essence, we just help hosts make better listings.
Ah,
So we help, yeah, there you go.
yeah, no, that's good. That's good right there.
So we help hosts with their photos, and now we've expanded. That's how we started, really, with photos, and then we've
Okay,
expanded on to really take a look at their whole marketing strategy, their listings or the websites online. So we
oh,
can help them
nice.
with copy or photos, getting their own website set up, getting pricing hooked up, and we really started when we started traveling with Brian and working from home. Brian was always researching Airbnbs, and that's predominantly what we used wherever we stayed was just Airbnbs. And he would always moan about the photos and be like, "Oh, these are so bad," and all these. And this is a couple of years ago, so don't worry, guys. Yours are probably way better now
Oh no,
already.
there's some really bad ones still out there. It's always kind of shocking when I see them because I'm like, what are you thinking?
Right, exactly. And then our thinking was, well, if the photos are this bad, the host must not be that great either. We just kind of made the connection that we don't I don't think we can trust a host who puts up a listing like this. But now we know that's not
Right.
true. There are a lot of great hosts out there who just don't know photography. Of
Needs
course
some
they don't.
help.
Right,
Needs
exactly.
some help.
Yeah.
But
And for
but it's tough though because when you see
mhm.
really bad photos, It does make you think, and it's kind of, I think it's subconscious. It
It
does make
does.
you wonder what else,
Yes.
what else is going wrong here? You know, what
Yes,
else can I expect
exactly.
not to be done that well? So
Yes.
yeah.
And we think that's still true today, especially now because I think people expect more from Airbnbs and
Hmm.
VRBOs wherever you're listed.
Hmm.
Um, we guests almost expect hotel quality, not necessarily a hotel experience, but the things are that you're on point. Your hosting game is on point. You know,
Right.
you know what you're doing. If we blow a fuse or something happens, the host is going to be on top of it. And there is an unconscious quality to it where you're just um, looking at listings. If you have really dark, dingy photos, somebody just like it feels like somebody just rushed through their listing and didn't
Right.
really pay much attention to how they put it together, that you don't necessarily trust that person as a host.
Right.
But
And I tell people it starts with the listing photos. And you
yeah,
start to build that relationship, you start to build that trust with that first photo. And if you
right.
don't get that right, there are a lot of other photos. They can just move right on to the next one, and you
That's the
already are,
thing.
are out of the game. So,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of competition out there. So it's so easy to just move on. And
yes.
we really try to get across to people that we think of their listings. It's a sales funnel, really, because when people the top of the sales funnel is your
Mm.
thumbnail photo, right? And you want to get as many clicks as possible so that ultimately when people kind of come down your sales funnel, they'll end up with the booking. A lot of people looking at
Yes.
your
Yes.
thumbnail photo, they're not going to see any of the rest of it. And we tell people like, look, your complimentary wine and your home baked bread and all that doesn't matter if people don't actually come to your listing. So we
Mhm.
really want to help hosts sort of
Right.
draw them in, and we look at their first photo, which we call the magnet photo. Like, how do you get people to stop, like pause their scrolling and go like, ooh, what is that? Almost
Hmm.
without even thinking about it. They just want to
Hmm.
click, and then you can kind of pull them into your listing with the awesome photo sequence and great copy. So
Right.
that's really
Right.
where we
Right.
come
I
in.
think that's really helpful. I think if you don't do anything else, if you don't spend any other money, getting your photos right, whether you do them
Yep.
yourself and you do them with your help, or you hire somebody, and that's where you put your money. If you have a limited budget, focus it there first.
Yes, yeah, we think so too. Of course, we're biased because we did start with photos, but we started with photos because it was such an easiest first thing. Because when we were looking at rentals, we always looked at photos first. We would sort for pricing and the area roughly, and then we would go into the photo sequence. And we
Hmm.
almost felt like we had all the information that we needed out of a really good photo sequence. And then it was just a matter of like, okay, just bring us to the finale, like just sell your place to us because
Right.
we already want to come there. And that's, the other thing that we focus on is the yearning. First, we have to make guests trust you as a host
Right.
so that you have sort of a professional appearance. It's like going to a job interview. Like you wouldn't just roll out of bed and go into a job interview. You just want to look your best.
It is like that.
Um,
That's a good analogy. I like that.
yeah, it's Brian's. I'll give Brian credit for that. He's the analogy machine
Right.
in this business. Yeah. Um, but yeah, a really good photo sequence can really just give guests almost all the information that they need. So that then they're just making up excuses almost no matter what the cost. Like even if it's a little out of their budget, they'll start making excuses about, oh, but we really should stay here because of this awesome feature and this nice amenity. And or if you're
Right.
not quite in the center of all the action, it's okay if you can still just kind of try to create the sense of yearning in the viewer. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. They start to rationalize why it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
yes,
we're actually
yes.
saving money by being here. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's what you want. When you get them there, then, just bring it
Yes.
on home. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Would
Exactly.
you submitted some photos for us to take a look
Mm,
at. Are
yeah.
you ready for those now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay.
All right. So here is really just a screenshot of a search result on Airbnb. So one thing that I want to tell hosts, and I know we want to talk about how to work our smartphones when taking photos, but this is something that we really would want all the hosts to do is step out of your
Mm.
host self and become the guest. And really take a look at your listing from the guest perspective. So do a search in your own town, wherever you are, and take a look at your competition. You should always, always take a look at your competition. It's
Yes.
not spying, it's just sensible. Like,
No, it's
so that
it's
you're seeing
it's
like,
looking at comparables. It's like if you were buying a
yes,
house, you'd look at other, and you're selling
hmm
yours, you'd want to look at other houses that are listed and see what they're offering. That looks like a
exactly.
whole lot of pools.
Yes, exactly. So if you do a search in wherever town, because we notice that often there are patterns. when you look through towns. So this, for example, is from Arizona, and everybody has a pool. So you know what? If your house has a pool, it's not a standout feature anymore. So
Yeah.
now you really need to think about like, okay, if everybody's putting up a pool, what can I put in my thumbnail photos that's going to make a person stop the scroll and it's going to make them go like, oh, that's interesting. Just
Mm-hmm.
something different. And we always talk about the lizard brain with Brian. It's this primal instinct that responds to contrast and color. And sometimes that you can really work that into your thumbnail photos where, yes, the content could be nice and you can think like, oh, look at this pool. You can have drinks by the pool. But
Mm-hmm.
like essentially, you really want to stop the lizard brain and think like, oh, a pretty color. I want to go to there. And then just make them
So it's much more basic than that, huh?
much more, it could be much more basic than that. Yeah. Because sometimes you can put up an elaborate scene and when you shrink it down to thumbnail format, we can't actually quite tell what it is. So simple
Right.
contrasts and colors work really well. And we teach the color wheel where you can look at opposite colors. And really what you want to do is look at movie posters. So we have the green and red, which are opposite complementary colors that work really well. And then the sort of
Mm-hmm.
blues and yellows that work well. So right there, there's one thumbnail at the top that kind of makes me stop, where it has the purple sky. So it still has a
Right.
pool, but there's the yellow house, and it's actually a sunset photo, and it's a little different from the others. So that
Yeah,
might
that's
be all you
nice.
need to get a little bit of a leg up on your competition to make somebody stop and just go like, "Oh, what's that?"
Well, that's
And you
certainly
just
the
want
one
them
that stands
curious.
out. Yeah, in
Yeah,
the mix, that's the one that I would gravitate towards. So I guess that's my
right.
lizard brain kicking in, looking for
Yeah,
that
yeah.
those complementary colors. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
exactly. And because it's completely free for the viewer to click, there's no other it's just very easy to go into it. So now you got them, right? Now you have them and you can show all the rest of your amazing photos. So definitely do this for your own listing. This is our tip to all the hosts because this is what we do when we do reviews. We look at the listing in context and see how is this thumbnail, how is this person standing out from the competition? And we think that's really important.
Oh, Marilyn says this is what she teaches, and
Yeah.
it's true. It's I think it happens very quickly when you're searching through, and you don't
Hmm.
even think about it. Like you say, it's that lizard brain, and
Yeah.
it happens all the time. And hosts need to realize that that's what's happening because that's how they need to take advantage. That's what they need to take advantage of when they're planning their listing, their
Right.
design, their photos, the whole
Hmm.
thing. So this is your
Exactly.
next photo.
Yeah, this was just another example here where sometimes there isn't a pattern in your town, but then again, you can work the lizard
Oh,
brain so
okay.
that blue pops there again just really nicely.
Yeah, it does.
Even if
It
everybody
does.
has the
That one's really
wraparound
nice too
balcony,
because it's nice because the lines converge and draw you
yes, the
in. So that's a
leading
nice one.
lines, exactly. So that's another
Hmm.
photography trick that we teach on our, we have an online course too, but now we've pivoted to something else. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But um, it's using photography tricks again to sort of tickle the lizard brain. So this is why, again, you need to look at your competition and figure out, okay, everybody has a green backyard with a red house. This was a theme in Bali. Maybe I'll put up something blue. And again,
Mm,
it's just stopping the scroll and making a person click.
standing out.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So the next thing I want to teach people is really just how to work your phone.
Mm.
So we always hate the phrase when people say like, oh, they just took out their iPhone and took the photos, right? As if it was the fault of the iPhone that the photos are not that good. It's really an insult to the iPhone, and we've proven now in the
The iPhone's pretty
past
sophisticated, you
iPhone
know?
is pretty sophisticated. And you would never apply that logic to anything else. If somebody put up your car engine backwards, you're like, oh, they didn't use the right kind of wrench. No, you would think your mechanic isn't that good. Or like if a painting is just horrible, you don't think like, nah, wrong kind of paint.
Mm.
No, we think the painter maybe isn't quite that good. So really, you need to just learn your tool, and you definitely can take good photos even with your smartphone. But one of the basic things that I wanted to teach people is if you click on the screen of your phone, you can do it right now, whoever is on there without your phone, unless of course you're watching us on your phone. And if you click around on the screen, you can adjust brightness and you can adjust contrast. Because one of the things that we hear hosts often say is, well, the photo came out really dark, or the photo came out really bright, or I lost the view in my photos. You don't have to settle for what the phone produces. Control the phone, control the tool, and don't let your tool control you. This is
Mm.
what I always tell
Nice.
hosts. So if you go to the next one, next photo,
Okay.
you can see the difference here. So there's a little circle there. on the screen of the phone. If you click, can you go to the previous one again? And I'll show you where it shifted. So here I've clicked into the shadows and you can see how bright everything is. We can see the grass, we can see the walkway, and here I've clicked on the sky, which is
Oh,
brighter,
okay. Oh,
and it
okay.
made everything else dark. So
Yes.
it adjusted to the sky because I'm telling the phone now I want the sky to look nice. And in
Oh,
the other one, I'm telling them, okay, I want this shadowy part to look nice.
yeah,
So
that's
this
a
is
big
how, for
difference.
example, you can control your views in your house when you're taking photos and your camera immediately, your phone adjusts the windows, right? It's usually what
Right.
happens, and it makes
Right.
the room pitch black. So
Right.
then click around in the room and you can force your camera to adjust, and it's going to make the room brighter.
Okay.
And
I don't
yep.
know. Who knew that?
And then if you hold down on your screen, it will lock in that exposure. So when you have it right, you can press and hold, and it should get that. And it depends on the phone. For example, here you have this little AF and AE lock. It means focus and exposure are locked.
Mm.
So
Oh, wait,
then
do
when
we need to
you
go back there?
then when you move around, it's not constantly readjusting, right? Because sometimes you have it just right, and then you move an inch, and then boop boop, it's gone again.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you need to
Nice.
lock it in. So that's just a technical tip for how to control the light on your phone.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can bring up the rest of your photos because
Hmm.
they're not
If you can, I'll
showing
still
me.
talk through my talking points.
Yeah, I think you should keep talking because I can't get them to pull up. This
That's
is
fine.
the beauty of Instagram.
Well, we're all
Sometimes it
learning.
works and sometimes it doesn't.
This has been a very technically educating year in all the horribleness as we're all
Yes,
learning
right,
things
right, in
about
all the
Zoom
bad
and
ways.
Instagram. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So the second tip that I want to tell people is really not about your phone, but you can apply it to whatever you're using to take photos with. So our natural tendency is when we take photos is to do it as if we were doing it with a person. We step into the room and we start showing things. So I'm
Mm,
doing this because I'm pretending I have my phone.
yes,
Um,
yes,
so we step in and
yes.
then we start pointing
Well, you
down.
have a horizontal, so that's,
Yeah, I know,
something.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. One thing. Um, and then we start pointing down at furniture because when we're in the room, we can't really fit anything in. So what I do and what I teach people, what you should do is whenever you take a room, no matter where you're standing, I can pretty much guarantee you need to back up from where you are and lower the camera. And that's
Hmm.
how you can really make the most out of a space without using a wide angle lens. Because a wide angle
Okay,
lens really
so
isn't necessary.
you want us to bring
Yeah,
it down like waist high or
waist high,
or
basically. Yeah, no,
chest
not to our
high or
eyes. Yeah, because that's again what we do. We kind of go into the room and here's where our eyes are. And back in the day, we had to kind of take photos with cameras like this. It's the only way to see it. We didn't have smartphone screens, right? So we still have the tendency where we kind of bring the
right,
camera super high and then we have to point down in order to capture the room. So lower the camera to your waist level and then back up almost where you're out of the room and make sure that you're not something like a door frame isn't blocking your view. But when you lower the camera and back up, you can get a nice wide shot of your whole space and you don't have to point down at furniture. It's going to keep your vertical
right.
line straight, which is a dead giveaway of a professional photo. And it's just going to naturally make the room look bigger and you don't have to do any cheating. Because I don't like to use the wide angle lenses that real estate photographers use because it just distorts the space so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and it creates a lot of sort of empty space with the floors and the ceilings
Hmm.
because it's
That's an
stretching.
old realtor trick to use
Yes.
that kind of photo to make the
And
room look bigger.
right, and realtors still love it, but the
They
real estate
do.
game,
They
yeah,
do. I've been a
the
realtor
real
for a
estate
really,
game
really
is
long
different.
time. But
Yes.
it's not, you can run into trouble with that because, then the room looks so big, and when the people actually arrive to see it, you're like, this is a teeny tiny room. What happened here?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's the difference. And we've talked to realtors, and they say, "Yeah, I want the widest possible view. I don't even interview photographers that don't have a certain millimeter lens. I don't even take them in,
Right.
because I want the widest. Because they want people to come into your open house, and then they have, look, I have 8 other properties. If you don't like this,
Don't
obviously,
give
that's
away
not
all the
how
realtor
Airbnb
secrets.
works. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
that's what they do. It is. Yeah.
Right.
No,
But the point is to try to get a connection with the potential client and say, I have a portfolio and you want to show them the place before they actually purchase it. But obviously Airbnb is what you see online, what you see on Airbnb or VRBO is what you're gonna get,
yeah.
ideally,
And that's how it
right?
should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is how it should be. So you want nice photos, but somewhat realistic. You don't want to oversell. So just
Hmm.
this technique again, where you back up and lower the camera, is how you naturally sort of give a wide view of a room, and it's just technically nicer, um, and just creates the sort of a wide angle look without actually having a wide angle lens.
Got it. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And then my other thing was just to work with light. Again, this is not a smartphone specific thing, but it helps because if you have trouble adjusting the brightness and contrast with your phone, then you need to work with the time of day. So for example, you
Yes.
have a gorgeous ocean view and the sun goes across your whatever your villa in Italy, and it's lovely, but then when you take photos, the sun is always in front of you during the
Mm-hmm.
day, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just horrible. Your apartment is pitch black and you can barely see the view. So you really need to work with a different time of day. Then you're going to wait for the sun to be kind of behind you. And I try to think of it, if you draw a circle around yourself, like a 360 circle, and you split it in two, like on your left and on your right, you have your 180 half. Try to make sure that the sun is somewhere behind you, if you can, ideally,
Mm.
when you're taking photos of your house exteriors and often your rooms too. So then you don't have the sunlight beaming in straight in front of you, and that's because that really wreaks havoc with
Yes.
how our phones, any kind of camera, can handle the contrast. Because when you have the sunlight coming in your view, saturated, they're kind of gray. You just have this bright blob in the sky. We've all seen these sunset
Yeah.
photos, right? And sunrise photos. But then
Yes.
when you wait for a different time of day or an
Yes.
overcast day, the light is much more subtle. It's easier to work with. And you can capture, you can really have, the photos are naturally going to be more saturated and just look so much better. So really think about like,
Yeah,
okay,
people
when is,
people are leery of the overcast day. I mean, they rather
yes,
a sunny day, but actually that's your friend.
yes, overcast, yeah, yeah, clouds are your friends.
Yes.
Yes. And especially when you go outside, if you want to shoot the exterior of your house or whatever you're building too, even if you don't have a house, you should still take photos of what the building looks like. Wait
Hmm.
for the sun to be behind you, because again, if it's in front of you, it's just going to light up the back of the building, and the sunlight is going to come into
Hmm.
your lens, and it's just going to look horrible. So just help yourself and work with the sun, and really think about the time of day when you're taking photos, and try to think like, okay, when is the living room at its best, and when can I actually
Hmm.
capture it so that the sun isn't in the way. We love you, sun, but sometimes we don't need you in our face.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. That
Yep.
one, I think, I mean, you can just tell so many photos benefit from just, waiting an hour or two before
Yeah.
the host takes them and puts them up. It's
Yeah,
just
they're
too
just
bad.
right, and because our eyes are amazing, our cameras are just not as good. We can tell, look at the contrast in a completely different way. Like the sky, the blue in the sky doesn't disappear for us when we are
Right.
standing there, and we can still see the porch even though it's kind of in the shadow. So our eyes are constantly adjusting to what we see around us, but our camera is just gonna, in a split second, capture whatever it sees, and it can't constantly adjust like that. And then
Good point.
I do apply some editing love, but still, you want to get the best base that you possibly can.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't, editing also gets a bad rap, and I don't
it
think
does.
for these purposes that that's very fair.
It's not
Um,
at all fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some nice subtleties that you can do with editing, but you need to, like you say, you need
Absolutely.
to start with the light being on your side as opposed to working against you.
Yeah, I mean, you can only edit a photo so much, and you really don't want to over edit. But this wasn't one of my points, but I'll tell you now, you do have to edit again because it's just our phones are not as good as our eye. You want to make the green grass pop just a little bit and the blue sky pop just a little bit more from what we get in our photos.
Hmm.
And really, we're just trying to match what the eye sees, not
Hmm.
fake it and make it better.
Right. You don't want to create almost an illustration out of your photo with
Right.
the super
Yeah.
saturated colors, but you do want to
Right.
give a little
Yes.
enhancement. Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes.
call it the candy coating HDR, where someone just kind of went
Yes.
crazy
Yes.
and everything is
Right.
just circus colors and there's no shadows, there's no highlights. No, you want to keep it realistic, but you want to help your photos. You want to help your phone with just a little bit of editing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so then I guess the last tip that we had for hosts was to think of themselves kind of as ambassadors with the listing. So something, and this is really kind of a growing trend, is more the sort of experience Airbnb. So
Mm.
you don't have to do an actual experience. But think about, why would a person want to come to your rental and your town And then how do you make like a more personal connection, even if you are a professional property manager? So we tell our
Yes.
hosts to grab some photos of your favorite restaurants and activities. Try to find photos of those and include them in your listing. So don't just think about
Hmm.
your rental and just those sort of four walls,
Four
so to
walls.
speak.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just think outside your rental too.
Yes.
Show people the beach, show people the town, show your favorite cup of coffee from your favorite coffee shop. So that again, you've really thought about the stuff from the guest's perspective. Like, I got you. When you come to my place, I can help you. I have all these suggestions for where to go, and you don't have to use them as the guest. You like if you have your own plan, but when you're looking at the listing again, the guest is thinking like, oh, this person has really thought it through. Like they thought about this from my perspective. They're not just worried about me wreaking havoc in the house or their insurance or things like that,
Right.
that I understand are consuming costs.
Yes.
But with a guest looking at the listing wants to know that you put kind of time into thinking about what's going to make my stay nicer. So personal recommendations are really, really good with that. And it's also giving the guest like an excuse to go and experience things. So
Hmm.
sometimes they'll just come to your place and maybe they'll just hang out at the pool for a week and do nothing. That is fine. They're allowed to do that. But this is a way to kind of drive them into town if you want to show people like, here's this hidden secret, this gem of an ice cream place that isn't the most popular one, but it has the best ice cream. You should go there. Name the
Right.
place. And Brian has
Right.
this 3x3 where you should put your three favorite places and your three favorite activities. And
Oh,
it
that's
kind of
nice.
it depends on, yeah, it kind of depends on your location. Sometimes your house is the destination, like it's just so awesome that no one ever needs to go outside. But still think about sort of the outside area. Where are people going to go out to eat and do
And I tell hosts,
the personal touch?
beyond just having a photo, see if you can make an arrangement with that coffee shop and offer a
Yes,
discount or some sort
absolutely.
of a welcome gift so that
Yes,
you even go further, connect the host to the community,
yes.
the guest to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you mention my name, you get a free cup of coffee with your
Yes,
meal
like
or
that.
something, or you get 10% off your paddleboard
Yes,
rentals. You'd be surprised how many businesses will go for that. If you feel like,
absolutely.
oh, I'm
Why
kind of
wouldn't you?
embarrassed. I don't know if they'll probably say no. Stop it. Stop thinking about that or
Yes,
thinking in that
yes.
way. Just go and ask. Yeah,
Well,
because a
these are
lot of
great
times they'll be
tips.
happy to do it.
I
Mhm.
appreciate this. This is good stuff for hosts to know about. Um, Tell us about how we can work with you. How do we reach you?
So,
What are your
mhm.
offerings?
So what we do right now, we've started working with hosts one-on-one. So like I said, we started with a photo course, but now we really built one-on-one relationships with hosts, and some have one property, some have two, some want to have 5 or 50, and they're property managers. Um, but we really start with a free evaluation. So if you go to our website, Overlooked to Overbooked, and it's the number two, Overlooked to
Hmm.
Overbooked.com, you'll kind of see what we're about. We explain what we do now, this sort of done for you thing where we try to take more off of host plates. If
Nice.
they just don't have the time or interest, yeah, I know I should upgrade my photos, and then a year goes by and it's still not done, and you're leaving money on the table. These are things that we will do for you. So we work with hosts. We'll interview. We'll do a free listing review. If you go to our website now and follow all the buttons, you can get to a place where you can submit your listing for a review, and that's how we'll get in touch with you. And we always take a
Nice.
look if you even need our help. We're not going to force our service on anyone. If your listing is already basically perfect, or you just need a couple of tweaks, we'll just tell you. We're not going to hold those hostage, because we want to make sure that we spend our time well and that you really benefit from our service. So we really try to work one-on-one, and we ask hosts, what are your sticking points? What are your goals? Or if you just want to grow your portfolio and you want to go from 5 to 50 and you just don't have time for all the photo captions and stuff, um, we can do that for you. So that's what we do now.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. It's nice to meet you.
you
I
too.
appreciate you putting up with the technical issues that are
No,
ever
no, it's
present here
fine.
on this
I
platform.
live in yeah, I'm the technical one and Brian is the words. So
Uh,
I
no, it's
can
good
deal
to
with it
have,
very
a
well.
second hand.
Yes.
If anyone needs to reach you, what's the best way to reach you through your website or on
You can reach us through
Instagram
our
or?
You can reach us through our website, and if you submit the review, we will get in touch with you. You can just straight up email
Okay.
me at Katie at overlooktoverbook.com and say, hey, how's it going? Can you
Hey.
help me?
Okay.
Katie, that's Kati at overlooktoverbook.com. Or you can message us on Instagram or Facebook.
Great.
We're there too. Wherever you see our O2O logo, just hit us up.
All right. Well, thank you for today. And Brian, thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry you couldn't join us next time. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll be back
Thank
next
you.
week. I took a little hiatus because a lot of crazy things happened in my listing, including the furnace going out and the roof caving in and the floors buckling. And so
Oh,
I had to
gosh.
focus a little bit. But I'm back now. Everything's under control, and I'll be here next Thursday as well. So please tune in. And it's nice to talk to everybody and see everybody today. Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye. Hi, this is PM Holt with Inside V&B, and today I'm going to be speaking with Katie Greene. And Katie is